Hey, fifth grade families, it is Miss McBroom. This video is all about metric conversions, so converting from one unit of measurement to another. I have made this nice big conversion chart for you guys to see, and this is really helpful for your kids and your students to be able to use when they are given a conversion problem. This chart looks pretty complicated, but I'm going to go through and I'm going to break it down for you so you can understand a little bit better. And then I'm going to go through some practice problems and a story problem at the end as well. So up here we have our units of length. These are all metric units of length. The abbreviations stand for centimeters, millimeters, meters, and kilometers. So that's what these different abbreviations mean. Now, when I have a value of centimeters that I want to convert into millimeters, I multiply that value by 10. And to do the opposite, to go from millimeters to centimeters, I would divide that value by 10. To go from meters to centimeters, I would multiply that value by 100. To go from centimeters to meters, I would divide by 100. To go from kilometers or kilometers to meters, you would multiply by 1,000. And to go from meters to kilometers, you would divide by 1,000. So these are our units for length. Down here, we have our units of measurement for liters or volume. So to go from milliliters to liters, I would divide by 1,000. To go from liters to milliliters, I would multiply by 1,000. To go from liters to kiloliters, I would divide by 1,000. To go from kiloliters to liters, I would multiply by 1,000. And the last thing we have is our units of measurement for mass. So these stand for milligrams, grams, and kilograms. To go from milligrams to grams, I would divide by 1,000. To go from grams to milligrams, I would multiply by 1,000. And lastly, to go from grams to kilograms, I would divide by 1,000. And to go from kilograms to grams, I would multiply by 1,000. So I understand that this is a lot. If you want to take a screenshot of this or copy this down somewhere, this is a great resource for your students to have. They will have this resource printed for them when they take their test, anytime they do a workbook page or anything like that involving conversions. So they don't have to have this memorized, but they do need to know how to use this. So I am going to go through a practice problem for you guys to see how they would use this conversion chart. So a problem might tell us that I have 6 5/10 of a centimeter, and I want to know how many meters this is. How many meters is 6 5/10 of a centimeter? So I would go to my conversion chart and I would find centimeters to meters, centimeters to meters. And I see that centimeters to meters tells me to divide my value by 100. So that means that I am taking my value of 6 5/10 of a centimeter and I am dividing it by 100. And that's how I would convert centimeters to meters. Now, this kind of looks a little complex to think about dividing a decimal by 100, but we teach our students a really nice method for how to multiply or divide by anything that is a multiple of 10, and 100 is a multiple of 10. So what we teach our students is when we divide by a multiple of 10, our decimal will move to the left. And it moves to the left when we divide because anytime you divide a number, the number gets smaller. Okay? And we teach our students as well that you move your decimal place as many times as there are zeros in your multiple of 10, because these zeros are representative of place values. We're going to move 2 place values to the left with our decimal, and I'm going to show you how you would do that. So I'm taking my 6 5/10. I'm dividing, so my decimal is going to move to the left, and I'm dividing by 100. So my decimal is going to move to the left twice. So I'm going to go once, and I'm going to move my decimal twice. And this is where my new decimal will be. And any time that there are some empty valleys when we're moving our decimal, that gets replaced with a 0 or filled in with a 0. So the answer to 6 5/10 divided by 100 is 65 thousandths. So 6 5/10 of a centimeter is equal to 65 thousandths of a meter. That is how I would convert centimeters to meters. Now I'm going to show you how I would do the opposite of this, okay? I'm going to show you what I would do if I was going from meters to centimeters. So if I had 6 5/10 of a meter, and I wanted to know how many centimeters that was, I again would go back and look at my conversion chart. I'm doing meters to centimeters, so I would find on my conversion chart meters to centimeters. And I see that my direction being given to me is I need to multiply my value by 100. So 6 5/10 of a meter, so 6 5/10 multiplied by 100. And like I said, we have this nice little rule for when we're multiplying a decimal by a multiple of 10. When I multiply by a value of 10, my decimal point is going to move to the right. And that is because anytime that I multiply something, my number is going to get bigger. And again, I'm going to multiply by however many zeros I have in my multiple of 10. In this case, my multiple of 10 is 100, and there are 2 zeros and 100. So I'm going to move my decimal point 2 places, 2 place values to the right. I'm going to show you how I would do that. So 6 5/10, moving my decimal point 2 times to the right. 1, 2. And this is my new decimal point. And again, I'm going to fill in my empty valley with a 0. So the answer to 6 5/10 times 100 is 650. So 6 5/10 of a meter is equal to 650 centimeters. So that is our basic rules for how we convert from different metric units. And again, this multiplying and dividing with a multiple of 10 works if you're multiplying or dividing by a 10, 100, or 1,000. Your student just has to know that when they multiply, their decimal moves to the right. When they divide, their decimal goes to the left. And they are moving that decimal as many times as there are zeros in their multiple of 10 that they are multiplying or dividing by. All right, so we're going to go through very quickly a story problem that your students may see when they are asked to convert units. So this story problem reads, Sam ran 1 7/10 of a kilometer on Saturday and 2 9/10 of a kilometer on Sunday. How many meters did he run on both days? So this story problem is asking our students to be able to do two things. One, it is asking our students to be able to convert kilometers or kilometers into meters. And then it is asking our students to be able to add these two values to find the total distance that Sam ran for both days. Now, you could do this one of two ways. You could convert both of these values from kilometers to meters and then add them together, or you could add them together and convert the whole value from kilometers into meters. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add these two values together as kilometers, and then I am going to convert them into meters. So I am going to show you how I would do that now. So I would set up an addition equation to add these two decimals. If your student is not comfortable with adding decimals yet, or you need some ideas for some new strategies for how to add decimals, please go and check out the adding decimals video that I have posted as well. So I am adding 7 9/10. 7 plus 9 is 16. I will put my 6 here, and I will carry my 1, and I'm going to drop my decimal point. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus another 2 is 4. So I have 4 6/10 kilometers all together. That is how far Sam ran combined both days. That's one part of my problem, is finding out how much he ran or how far he ran on both Saturday and Sunday. The second part of this problem is asking us to convert from kilometers to meters. So I would go back and look at my handy dandy conversion chart, and I am looking for kilometers to meters. which is right here, km to m, kilometers to meters. And it tells me that I would multiply my value by 1,000 to convert from kilometers to meters. So that's what I'm going to do. I have 4 6/10, and I am multiplying it by 1,000. And that's going to give me how many meters 4 6/10 kilometers is. And again, I'm going to use that rule that we talked about earlier, that trick for any time we have to multiply a decimal by a multiple of 10. So I know that I'm multiplying, so I know my decimal is going to move to the right, because anytime I multiply, my value is getting bigger. It's not getting smaller, it's getting bigger. And I'm going to multiply by however many zeros I have in my multiple of 10. In this case, I have 1, 2, 3 zeros because I'm multiplying by 1,000. So I'm going to move my decimal 3 places to the right. 1, 2, 3. And again, I am going to make sure I fill my empty valleys with zeros. So going back to my story problem, I am aware now that on both days, a combined total of both days, Sam ran 4,600 meters. That's how many meters Sam ran between Saturday and Sunday. And again, I found that by adding the 2 kilometer values that the problem gave me and then converting it into meters by multiplying by 1,000. I hope that you found this video to be helpful. If there's anything that you need clarification on, anything you found confusing, please make sure that you reach out to me so that we can go ahead and fix that. Again, thank you so much to those of you who are watching these to help your students. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.